So you're second.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Mr. Nutter, we come say our opening prayer.
Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we glorify you. Thank you for our beautiful city of Kingman. Thank you for the state of Kansas and the great country that we live in, Lord. Your word says to pray for those that have the rule over you. And we pray for this governing body in front of us, Lord, that you give them wisdom and a sound mind, Father, and that our city runs according to your plans. Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up is approval of the agenda. Looks like we're taking off 8B and adding 9B for the Rocky Dam. Any other changes?
Motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Agenda approved. Next up, consent agenda. I do have one change on this, just because the financial statement did change. I would like that to take that out of the consent agenda, just so we can kind of go over it, talk about that one a little bit more, but other than that, that's my only change.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the financial statement removed for discussion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. So on this financial statement, Zach, maybe you can go over it a little bit more. It is a lot more robust than it has been. So maybe just a little bit of explanation of what was added, why it was added, what we're seeing here now.
Really, the only thing that is added on there is the columns for the budget that shows what the actual budgeted amount is. And then you have the receipts and disbursements are kind of two subcategories now. Instead of just kind of all combined together. It shows the period total. The period total is the amount for the month of that financial statement. And then it provides a year-to-date total, so the running total. And then the remaining is basically the variance, the remaining amount budgeted. You'll see that that column has only existed in that top half because those are the budgeted funds. On the lower half are the non-budgeted funds, so all you have is receipts and disbursements because there is no budget tied to it. And then off to the right shows the cash balance, which ties with the pooled cash. So that's the total amount of cash that we have. And then the general fund accounts is just a breakdown of the different departments within the general fund, which clearly it adds up to the main budget for the general fund. And then you'll see the little box down on the right that shows the investments. So that's the amount of the investments that was processed by People's Bank that we were given based on what we have in that investment pool.
And that's year to date.
No, that's
That's
for
total.
a month.
That's just a month,
for one
okay.
month.
Nice.
Yeah, and then what I typically do is at the end of the quarter, so after this month, when I do the March financial statement, I'll try to have second page that'll show you the whole quarter.
Okay,
But that's basically it. If y'all have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Is the cash balance based on the last day of the month, last business day of the month, or how's that working?
It's the last day of the month,
Okay.
11:59 PM. Last day of the month.
any other questions or comments?
Are those interest that's earned, does that just go back into the same fund? Where it's in?
No, so the commission passed a policy last year when People's Bank took over and we did away with Cedars investments and now we do something called ICS sweeps. And it's basically taking the entire pooled cash, and the nice thing about that is it's liquid. So it used to be in Cedars, we would invest some money and it would be tied up. With this ICS sweeps, it's liquid, we can move money back and forth without any problems whatsoever. So the policy looks at it quarterly, and so for this quarter, we divvy up that $64,652. We divvy it up between the light water disposal, police reserve, capital improvement, and TIF fund. The light water disposal and TIF, they are on every month because those are the large contributors to the interest. But what changes every quarter is that police reserve and the capital improvement. So there's some other funds there that gets put in rotation to try to build those up.
That quarterly movement of money, that's based at the end of the fiscal quarter, so not the end of February, right? It'll be the end of March.
What movement money?
So the investments that are divvied up within the light, water, disposal, these, that's 64,000. That's not the total yet, right? Or is it moved every month?
It's moved every, so I do that on the last day of the month typically.
Okay.
So it's reflected in this financial statement.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? With that, I need a motion to approve the financial statement.
I'd make a motion to approve the financial statement for pay orders.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the February 2026 financial statement. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Can you hand me the comment list?
I've got to get used to that. Well,
All right, first up on the list, we have Greg Timish. He wants to talk about the tank.
Hello, good evening. I'm gonna make this as quick as possible to you with respect to you guys' time, but it's about the tank. Absolutely love all the discussion that's come up about the tank because it's highlighted some things that I think that we absolutely need to work about at the tank. And whether ones like for or against some of the ideas, it has brought up the fact that one of the things we absolutely must look at is getting the tank sealed. So we have water intrusion inside that we need to get shored up. So whatever decisions that we wind up making for the tank, that one absolutely needs to take priority. And we need to make sure that, because the interior of that thing, as we know, is different metal, thinner. And some places we have some pretty decent size hole intrusions, especially where antenna wicks went through. So we got some that are the size of, large orange, close to the grapefruit. Outside of that, I don't have Facebook. Got to see somebody show me part of one of the rolling threads that was on about the tank. It actually made my heart happy. I mean, there were people for and against it, but it showed great interest in our tank. So that was good because it brought us here to the discussion and find the intrusions and our faults that we have on it. as where I stand on some of that stuff with that, looking at it now, it's, whether you're for or against painting. I just think we need to absolutely make sure that we do it correctly, as long as it's from advice from a professional that can lead us in the right direction if we choose to paint. I'm all for it. Just make sure we do it right, so we don't have to do it every 10 years or even less, because we don't have the staff to do that. So, if we choose to go down that road, we need to make sure we prep it and paint it right. But the other thing that I found interesting with that is, I don't know too, is, maybe we gotta consider something like doing something like a survey monkey to see whether or not people are interested in, we restore it, we leave it as is, or do we take the stars off of it and take it back to the original state? Do we give it back to the people in something like a survey monkey? I don't know. So it's just a thought that I had, because that comment on that thread had a lot of people, so. That's basically all that I had, so. Just some thoughts, so. But if we do go with that paint, I do think we need to look into like a specialist to help guide us, and so we can do it once and do it right. That's all that I have, thank you.
Thanks. All right, next on the list is Baja Ramos.
Evening. Just following up again on the status of the radar trailer. I know it's talking to other people, everything, I know this trailer's been down for months. And I don't know if there's a single part, multiple parts or anything. Does anybody know exactly what is wrong with that trailer?
Chief, do you know?
Yeah.
I had a discussion with, the undersheriff, who's still the acting emergency manager, because they've just filled that role, but he doesn't start until the beginning of this next month. He made the promise to me, he knows it's important to us. He made the promise to me that he's going to evaluate what needs fixed on that trailer next week and try and get it fixed for us to get it deployed out there.
Because otherwise, I'd like to offer my services. If someone pay for the parts, I'll be more than happy to fix it. This, I mean, over this past weekend, just through the week again, I'm just seeing the same thing I've seen, but people are flying up and down that road. It's getting worse. I honestly challenge any of you to come sit in my driveway. 15-20 minutes, I guarantee you'll see what I'm talking about. Any point of the day, just give it 15-20 minutes and you will see the craziness that's going up and down this road.
Has there been increased police presence since our last meeting?
I've seen them there a few times, setting off to the sides and such. I talked to Chief Love and Officer Miles. And they asked the same thing about sitting in that little cove that's on our driveway, and I give them and the people across the street from me, they have a white truck that sits out there, and if they were to swap out the white truck with their white police truck, no one will know the difference. They could catch vehicles that way too. But I mean, last night I was up late doing some cleaning and detailing, and it was gorgeous, so I was outside working. But just hearing engines revving in a 30-mile-an-hour zone tells you they're going faster than a 30-mile-an-hour.
What's your address?
800 Coronado.
Right there. You're right on the corner.
Yes,
I've been thinking about this. Once we figure out what's going on there, maybe we should install speed bumps up and down there, so you can't do that. I know there's some towns that do that a lot. Some stops.
my suggestion from the start has been stop signs at that fourth corner.
I'm with Joan. I don't know if I would agree with the stop sign, just because we don't have very many through roads in town. And G Street is one actual through road.
Well, I think that
Well, what's
goes to the cemetery.
Yeah.
It goes to the cemetery, but it's, I'm looking at safety for other people instead of just a through road at the convenience.
Well, it looks like
If we put speed bumps on Coronado, that's what I was going down.
it's not actually on Coronado though, it's on G Street.
It's on G Street.
Yeah, it's on
It's
G
on
Street.
G.
Yeah, Coronado does have stop
That's
signs.
what I'm on G Street.
Put forward stop.
Well, it does look like at least we'll get
We'll get that.
the information next week on that trailer, so hopefully Sure.
He's gonna try and get it
Try.
prepared next week. He still has to get it deployed and then we need a period of time to get statistics. So if you could grant us that, okay.
Curiosity,
Starting the process.
I've seen a couple heads shake no against the four-way stop. Can you give me a reason why not? Being that we have them in other places and.
I will have my commissioner comments, yeah.
I'm surprised, this is racing going up and down G.
Correct.
See, I've driven that with my car, and granted, my car is low to the ground, but I can't make it across Coronado without, quickly hitting the brakes just because of that transition.
Well, that's the stop sign. We're going across.
No, I'm talking about on G heading, westbound on G. I have to slow down because there's a bump right there before that empty line. I have to, so I don't know what cars, I mean, if it's a truck, obviously they're gonna be able to flow right over it.
Yeah. There's a black Mustang that does it almost every morning. The Pizza Hut delivery vehicles are flying up and down the road and they're all cars.
Okay. Yeah, then I would say, I bought him out on that, and the Mustang's got a little height on me. And I'd hate to see it in a bigger speed bump, but I gotta go, at 5 miles per hour over, so, I don't know, that's complicated, man, I don't think that.
Thanks. All right, Jack Demish.
Thanks. Just information on the armory, or a little bit, the architects and stuff, the people we've talked to, called up. We kind of went through with our courthouse department heads and then we talked about this thing too. And I spoke with John here a little bit, he might give you a little heads up that I'd be here or be talking. They're gonna give us the proposal on the central heat and air. And then also putting the ceiling dollar wise. And then I spoke with Christie on the grant writing and spoke with you and I think if we could collaborate, Leslie and Christie and work on that grant, because she seems to think there's tax credits and historical grant that we could get to help pay for some of this, because earlier we thought 75, 80,000, because that was what came here. Doing this ceiling and insulating it, putting that vinyl in there. They're bumping, he said, I think it'll be over 150, 175,000, just rough number. And then we still gotta do a little electrical and cubicles on the inside and divide that up when we do decide to use it. I know it's rented and I know there's people spoken for it, but if we could push a little bit and even put the central heat and air in possibly 8 months, maybe a year before we need to use it. We're not opposed to that. We'd like for some of this to be done, but to try to shove both through at the same time. I don't think that's gonna be, we gotta have one ready before we move out of here. So just wanted to, and then the other thing that she was up to, at one time we talked, ventured on a grant for the horse stall barns and armory. And we didn't get it, it felt like we got close. We would like to push for those barns again, but where you guys own the land and we own the buildings. I think that she's thinking the application would look better coming from yous. Especially for the army, that's all of you. If there's any money to be done, we'll run it back through the commissioners at Dodge, but we would cover that funding and, it's nothing out of pocket to use. When we get done here, somebody said, is there another building to use? You could go find another building and spend money on that, but that doesn't benefit. We get this one fixed out, central heat and air, nice ceiling in there. It makes it a venue that somebody wants to rent. It makes it more, it brings people to town, it's economic development. I'm stuck on that building, and after they've seen it, they thought it's absolutely the best place, easiest fit for us, and an easy move, so. I'm not, as one commissioner, I'm not opposed to spending money we need to spend. To bring it up today, make it more user friendly. These down there, the windows have been double painted, even though it's a brick wall. You guys have fixed windows and they're double pane glass, so. There's potential there. So I think that I come tonight because I want to, quick as they give us a number of, a dollar amount, we can start applying and looking for those grants and those tax credits, so. Just wanting just to hold. Got anything?
I have a question. So one concern with it being a historical site, all the upgrades that you're doing doesn't interfere with that.
When we brought in those people to do the walkthrough, Don Mars is the historical guy who been doing it for 40 years. And he done Great Bend's courthouse and that's all he does. And everything that we're doing would not affect the historical part of that.
Because it's all interior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it's just the exterior part that is a big issue.
And yeah, it's a big issue, but he said you still can get around that too, if you wanted to do something, but.
Okay.
For us, this is where, the meeting room and stuff, he asked if there was, I really didn't think there was anything we needed to touch in there. Your guys' electrical is very much up to date, I think we found the drawings and sent them to them, but they were very much appreciative of that. So.
Has this been discussed with the county commission in an open meeting as well? And everyone's on board?
We have visited, but we haven't discussed the dollar amount, now that may decide that.
Sure. Yeah.
But. If we can capture the grants and get these tax credits, when I went to Great Bend, they talked about what they did and what they got. This sounds like a lot of money, but it could easily be cut in half, it could be cut. More than half, it could be cut 60-70%. If we could capture the right amount of tax credits and the grants, but they're out there for this kind of stuff because, everybody in Kansas has got historical buildings and most of them are courthouses and some got armories. We can't throw them away, and we don't want them to burn down. And we want them to be user friendly and. Our courthouse is historical, we worked on steps, we've done stuff already, every year we'll put money in there. This is probably gonna be one of the bigger steps we make, because each room will now have its own thermostat. The way it is now, that thing, it starts at the bottom, if you go up to the third floor in the north east corner, that's where the thermostat is, so. Once everybody gets toasty hot, and by the time we start our meeting at 10 o'clock, we got the air conditioner running because sweat's just pours off. So it's, and then there's some knob and tube electrical up in that top layer of that. We got Union Pacific boxes that they said are just waiting. They don't flip the breaker, they melt the breaker and then wires just start going. So
Would using tax credits or grants for the armory impact or your ability to use it for the courthouse?
I think that's why she's leaning toward a city and a county. Okay. And the other thing that I do want to bring up too is we applied, or city and county applied for that road grant. Haven't even got it for their streets, and we got it for 170th, where it's in front of Love's and go up to overlay all that. They got it for third, fourth, and wider. And they're putting curb and asphalt in. We would like to get with you guys again and start that process on North Main. Cause that's a whole different animal. We have found in the past, you apply for it, you write your grant, and you may not get it. Then you go back and they kind of give you an idea, hey, you need more of this, you need more of that. Go back and rewrite it, readdress it. And re-enter it again. That's what happened at Cunningham. We didn't get it in April, but we got it in September. But they did. That was $1 million some. It's gonna be take care of a lot of ugly. And I'm just thinking, this is kind of a joint venture here. They say if you apply too much, it takes you out of it. If you get them. I don't know how many of these grants you've captured in the past, I know probably some. But, the difference between some of this too is having some match dollars to do it with. And one thing I'm telling the other two commissioners are pushing is, you know, if we can get some of the structure and say you guys need some match money, we could do that. We're in a better position than we was 5 years ago, you know, with wind farm money and stuff. And if it would benefit Kingman, Norwich, and Cunningham, and make the town a better street, which in turn makes people want to move here, which in turn raises revenue, property tax, you know, because you bring people to town, you're spreading your base. So I push all the time on different things, but I do think that project up there in North Main would be a perfect fit. We need to be ready to do it in September. And even though we're doing it, that doesn't mean we're gonna get it. It doesn't mean that we gotta tear the street out. You know, they got that September and we're still getting ready for it. And it hasn't been left to bid yet. So it's just a process that takes time. And I know I would bet you $1 million, you won't get that in the first quarter. If you do, hard to it. The other thing you gotta think about is a lot of the cities and counties aren't in a position to have those dollars to match to get the grant, so they don't apply. We're in a position where we can push pretty hard on a lot of grants because we can come up with that 20 or 30%. That makes sense to us. So, you know, Norwich did get grant 2 for engineering on I think it's on water, 365,000. She captured that one. Cunningham got another one for I think 165,000 for engineering and stuff on water. I haven't heard what that looks like, but along with the one that she got earlier, she captured 2 million. Thought Zendu could get theirs, but they did. They were trying to get water meters that we can read and replace it on it too. Norwich is huge. If they've got an ambulance and the works and some other stuff for it. So, you know, got Leslie here. 2 heads are always better than one. They work together so we can capture a lot. So
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we have a proclamation tonight. Yeah,
That's interesting. Yes, good evening. My name is Eva Patterson, and I am with the Kansas Children's Service League. Our mission is to protect and promote the well-being of children. And one of the ways that we do that is through a home visiting program that I supervise called Healthy Families Kansas. Kingman County, all the towns in Kingman County, we are some of the towns we serve. We serve 6 counties. This is one of them. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. And Kansas Children's Service League is the chapter of Kansas for child abuse prevention. I'm here tonight requesting a proclamation to make April of 2026 Child Abuse Prevention Month in Kingman.
We'll just need to read the whole thing.
Do you guys have it?
We have it,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
All right. Whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Kingman County, Kansas. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that build strong children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community in partnership to build awareness about child abuse and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Now, therefore, I, Tracy Windsor, Mayor of the City of Kingman, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
And we are a free and voluntary service that works with families with little tiny babies. So we come to monthly meetings in the town, and so if you ever need some help with families, please reach out. Thank you very much.
Well, we have a motion for approval of the proclamation. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was the first, second?
Sean was the first.
Merlin?
Was the second, yep. All right. On to 7A, Resolution 2026-2 fee schedule.
So this is a resolution that I think last time the city did this was in 24, and just an update of the various fees for permits and services that the city provides. And I believe the yellow recognizes changes that were made from 20 from the last time, so. And each department head was participant in kind of setting the proposed increases that they're recommended, so. Anyway, I do want to ask the commission to take off one of those, and that is I need to look at it, that is the records. The which? Records? Well, it was the charge to the rec commission for use of the armory, and I contacted the armory or the rec director. They weren't aware of that. It would be something new, and he wants to talk to his board in April. And that's really probably something that I'd just be a separate agreement between the city and the rec commission. So would recommend that be pulled off of that resolution.
What page is that?
Well, I'm trying to find it.
It's on page 29. And all of the armory fees are new because that was previously handled by the chamber, so.
Leslie, are those pretty comparable? Are they different than what was in the original contract?
So some of them I knew, some of them I didn't, so. So basically, like on the rentals, the big rentals, like for weddings and stuff, I just did a lot of research about venues around.
Okay,
And so that's where I came up with the amounts.
but I
Like
assume,
the fair board, I already knew that one. That one I knew.
the contract basically is staying the same with the armory, with the insurance needed. If they
Yes,
have alcohol,
yes,
like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
The only other one that I know that is brand new is the campsite ones. That has just never really been on here. And we just started contracting with Firefly, so starting Monday. Instead of folks going to Lights to reserve camper spots, they'll now do it online through Firefly, and they pay online through all that, so. Which just so we're clear, the transaction fees, the users have to pay the transaction fees for that as well, just as they do for any of their city services.
How does that lock and empower work?
We're going to leave it unlocked, and the police have access to the software, and they will be patrolling and making sure that reservations are in place.
With this fee schedule, I kind of already talked to Tim, but I would like to see, maybe on the water, if that does need to get increased. Thanks.
What was that on
On the water, the
Tap fees?
tap fees, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at those and, you know, like on the 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch tap, we're at 800. I just looked, I don't know why I just picked Pratt, and I didn't do a lot, and they were at 940. So, you know, we're within line but obviously,
I mean, with the water rates just going up, I just wanna make sure that everything is
yeah.
accounted for. Any other questions or comments on resolution 2026-2?
So a lot of these, I'm just looking through them, a lot of them are very close to what they were in 24. They're not a big difference. Firework fee, if I recall, I'm still scrolling back through here. Looks like it tripled.
Yeah,
What is the reason behind that, and who's that gonna affect?
the fireworks stands, whoever has a stand, and our fee, I'm trying to find it too, was unbelievably low before.
It was 250, it looks like it's going to 750.
Yeah, I mean, in some of the communities, and I'm not saying Wichita's, but some of them it's 2,500, 5,000. A lot of it depends on the volume, but I don't know what kind of volume of fireworks stands we have here, it's at. So. But I know 250 was really low, whether 750 is too high, I don't really think it is, there's a pretty good market for fireworks stands, I think, so.
I think Chief Brooks has some comparative,
Yeah.
she kind
Oh, Chief's here, yeah.
I mean,
of.
so.
You know, yeah, what's your come up comment, yeah, I didn't see you back there, sorry.
So yeah, as far as comparatives, yes, and our Hutchinson is $2,500 per permit. The city of South Hutchinson, which is the lower population of this, is $3,000 per permit. And we are still sitting at 250. So. I didn't want to, I talked to. Sort of talk about it, and we didn't want to go too high and too low, obviously he's too low, so we just kind of agreed on the 750 then. So I'm trying to fill out, and I think we only had 3 or 4 stands last year, so.
Any other questions or comments?
We motion to approve this resolution, but we are gonna remove the recognition. Yeah, we'll make that motion to approve. But if there's any other specific items that the commission wants. Recommend a different amount, I mean, now's the time to probably look at that as opposed to wait until you get phone calls, so.
I know we don't have history on the armory. But how does that compare to? I mean, competition here in town with the hangar being able to rent?
But the hangar does not, so it has a lower capacity. So this is like a bigger venue, so I looked at like, their larger venues, I did not compare it to the hangar. Plus the hangar, doesn't necessarily have set rates.
One thing you might be able to consider with the rec commission is we have a separate contract with the rec commission, so that's something you could always look at later. You can re-enter a contract with that and just include that in that contract.
What is the agreement exactly with the Armory and the Rec Commission?
There is a limit.
There is.
I thought there, I read something that they get to use it.
So
Yeah.
they have access to it.
Yeah.
When they want it, if it's not rented. They
The
use it,
chamber, there isn't anything with us because we haven't.
yeah, it was a chamber before, but yeah.
I see.
Like,
And I don't know if the chamber charged them or not.
They did not, according to, Peyton, is that his name? Yeah, Peyton, right.
Okay, have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-2. With the fee schedule attached minus, the Armory program partner. Any further questions or comments?
If we determine that this adversely impacts business, be able to.
You can always come back. Okay.
Resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just resolution sets that you always have the ability to come back and change something.
Yeah.
And just for the record, there has been no business, so.
Yeah.
There's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, well, I'm
No,
not
you
talking
mean-
about just,
Overall,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Alright, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Alright, resolution 2026-3.
Cheers.
No.
You'll do those tough, All right, so resolution 2026-3 is part of the process of our RHID for the memory lane edition, which is a lot on Sugar, or not Sugar, on Copeland, it's multi-family lot. And then 4 lots on Sugar, and then the remaining lots on Sadie Street. We had passed a resolution. Been a while, September of last year, and we sent that off to the state. The state accepted that, and so now we're on to the next part, which is the development plan. We have a public hearing for the RHID. And Kevin Cowan is here to talk about that. He's with Gilmore and Bella, and he is the attorney that helped us with all this.
Okay, good evening. I know we took first steps in September, the governing bodies changed a little bit, so I thought I would do a little bit of RHID 101, but the idea behind reinvestment, housing incentives districts is create a special district where incremental taxes, new taxes are then created by the development that occurs there. And the general taxes, all of the new taxes except for the statewide 20 mil school levy, those general taxes can be plowed back into the development itself. So in this case, you have a development that's had special assessments on it for more than 10 years, it's languishing. That's one of the areas that specifically would qualify for RHID. So as Leslie said, in September, the governing body took action today to make findings with respect to the memory lane properties. Under our statute, that resolution then goes to the Department of Commerce, and they will either agree or disagree with the governing body's findings in that resolution. They agreed, so that's sort of step one. And as Leslie said, step two is actually taking the action to create the district. That's not tonight. This is more of an intent resolution to give notice to not only the public, but also the other taxing subdivisions that you're considering the establishment of this district. So this would call for a hearing on establishment of the district and approval of the plan. After the hearing, the governing body can consider an ordinance that would establish the district and approve the plan. So that's sort of the background on all of this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the goal is once you establish this district and homes are built, and the properties with the land bank now, so the land bank's going to sell at some point these lots to folks that are going to build homes. When that occurs, you have what was zero tax value with the land bank, not generating any taxes now, going into a phase where it is generating taxes. You now have improvements on it. So let's say that's $5,000, $6,000 of new taxes, general taxes that are being paid on a new home. You compare that, or the county compares that to the base value of zero, and using 5,000 as an example, the 5,000 is the increment. Those are the new taxes that you can then apply towards the plan. The plan here is to make it so that those properties, when they do sell to a property owner, a homeowner, don't have any specials to pay. The city would continue to cover those special, non-paid specials as it has for a number of years. That increment would come to the city. So a lot of times this gets done maybe with a developer that says, I have 20 lots, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. What will you do for me, city? And the city may say, well, you go do your thing and we'll pay you all of the increment over some period of time that will help you pay for the development. Here, the city is sort of the developer, so this increment's gonna come back to the city to cover the specials in the meantime. And those will be outstanding for 9 more years?
2034.
9 more years of specials. So this cash flow, if homes are built and this increment is generated and is coming to the city, you will use it to apply towards the specials for the debt service on the bonds that you have. And again, you'll be able to tell property owners, you buy this lot, you build this home, you pay your general taxes, and that takes care of your infrastructure. We're not gonna ask you to pay special assessments. We'll take care of that. We'll keep the increment. In my example, it's $5,000 a year. In some of it, frankly, it's not only covering that, but if the increment generates enough, it can pay back some of what costs the city has incurred in the past, paying for that infrastructure that's not being paid by the special assessments. But so it's kind of twofold. It's neat that you could tell a new property owner, this has been subject to specials, although we have it in our land bank, we're taking care of that. Normally, if you sell it out of the land bank, it immediately becomes subject to the special assessments again. Here, you can take action, tell the county, we're terminating those specials, we've got that covered. And so a property owner will know, I don't have specials to pay, I just pay my general taxes, that will take care of my infrastructure. The hope is that's an incentive for things to get built, it's kind of a head start, and help the city, probably not gonna get whole, but get closer to being made whole for some of those infrastructure costs that you've covered. So the trick is, the taxes are across all taxing subdivisions. And it's really a way, in this case, to incentivize some homes getting built by having all of the taxing subdivisions, the general taxes share in the cost of the infrastructure to hopefully get that kick-started. So I know it's a lot of information. We'll stop there. Happy to address any questions.
So the major, just to recap, the major incentive is that it would eliminate specials. But in doing so, we're sacrificing tax money that we would receive from the building being built, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so if you didn't do anything and those homes built out in the next, 9 years of specials, they would be purchased, they'd be subject to the remaining special assessments, and the city wouldn't have to cover those, and you get the new general taxes. That's correct.
However, the lots have not moved with the specials on them, so right now you are getting a
What are the specials in one?
increment of 0. Depends on the lot, but generally, they're, the ones on Sugar Street are actually pretty low. I think they're less than $1,000 a year, but the ones on Sadie Street are about $2,800 a year. And then Copeland, because that's the big multifamily lot, I can't remember, but it's a big number.
But it's an incentive to get people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what,
Big thing.
just because that was a lot of. Just to reiterate again, so with the $5,000 example, $5,000 would not go into the general taxes, it would go basically just to pay those specials.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
It has to go to an eligible cost under the statute, in this case, the eligible cost, paying for the infrastructures, which is paying the specials or the debt service on bonds that are outstanding.
Okay.
So it goes into a special fund, and then I think as a budget matter, you'd have to move it over into your bond and interest or something, because that's where it's ultimately going to go, while you still have the outstanding bonds for. And this can be for 25 years, the increment, and I don't. There's a pretty simple feasibility analysis. It's a Department of Commerce spreadsheet that I use, where it's assumptions, like what do you think the value of a new home will be, and when do you think it will get built? And I plugged in some numbers at 250, but assumed inflation, so next year maybe a $250,000 home is $255,000. And in 10 years, maybe that's a $300,000 home. So, but the build out of these 19 lots was over 13 or 14 years. You know, some years one's built, some years two. I mean, there's not really a plan, so you can get whatever results you want. But I thought it was pretty conservative, not to assume, well, we're going to build 19 homes in the next 2 years, so then we're going to have full increment starting 2 years from now because everything's going to be built. It's more gradual. But it's a pretty big number if within 15 years or so, you know, what is today a $250,000 home, it is built, and again, over the 15 years, you have 19 of those, and you're collecting that increment over time, and it's more than $2 million in the scenario that we ran. Now, if, again, you can plug in any numbers you want. If it was 19 homes built next year, that's probably gonna be $3.5 million. It's all the general taxes over the next 25 years. You don't have that many eligible costs, so if that wonderful occurrence actually occurred, you know, it gets built out, we're in year 15, once you've collected enough to cover all of the debt service, special assessments, and repay what you've invested heretofore, then you would shut it down. So I don't think it would be outstanding for 25 years. It's just theoretically, it could generate a pretty good size.
Well, if you buy a lot now or build a house on a lot now and you assess the specials, what is the payout time on that special? I mean, is it that?
Right now,
Yeah,
it's the 9
Yeah.
remaining years.
Yeah.
Now, the city in 2021 refinanced those bonds to a longer period of time, so you have a bit of a disconnect now, and it's probably in hindsight, and maybe in foresight, it was a good idea. Like, we don't know when these are going to sell, we just know we're covering all of it. So let's spread that over time, even though we know the specials under the statute under which the specials are imposed can only be for a total of 20 years, and we have 9 years left. That would be that.
well, part of the problem in memory lane, I think you might have more houses built, is the lot design. To me, from what I've looked, is terrible. It just don't make no sense at all.
They're about a fifth of an acre, some of them are quarter. I did do a little research on that, and they are bigger than the national average and the average in Wichita. But for a smaller community like ours, they're definitely small. That's just not what people expect here.
I heard a lot of comments on what can be built on the lots too, the restrictions on what kind of home can be put there.
The only restriction is it has to be built on site. You can't bring in a modular.
So they can build a 3-bedroom, 5-bedroom, they can do whatever they want.
Anything that stick builds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's, I don't know, basically the taxpayers are paying for a mistake that we made several years ago. When it was approved.
We're paying it now because
We're paying it now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get reimbursed.
I mean, I
Yeah.
do think that's true, but I will say, and you know, others at this end of the table will agree, this RHID is just all the rage right now. I mean, not in the largest cities, not in Wichita or Overland Park, but boy, I mean, in our office, we may have 30 of these going at any given time around the state. Really got popular around Dodge City first, and so just the housing needs that that everybody has across the state. This is a way to incentivize it. And the legislature has acted in the past 3-4 years to make it more user friendly. Every single year, you still were qualified, but at one point, if you were in a metro area, you weren't going to qualify at all. This was for truly rural communities, and now that really is not the case. If you have less than 60,000 in population, but even the larger cities have the ability to do sort of infill projects, which is really what this is, where you've got an area where development has occurred and you can go back in and sort of incentivize it. So I say that to indicate if you had a developer walk in with a memory lane type development today, I would be shocked if they didn't ask for an RHID. So you kind of get to the same place, but you're right. Some of this is to try to help the city get back and get repaid and taxpayers repaid for some of what the cities had to cover the way this played out. But again, it's a popular tool, even if it's a brand new development.
Because on the original agreement, it was property taxes coming back or a $40,000 payment or something. Was that for, none of them were ever made on those agreements. I don't remember what year that all was we took over.
Outside looking in, this is maybe an opportunity to make the best of a situation with which you're presented now.
Yeah. And that's good. It just.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not completely sold on it yet, so I think there's more discussion to be had, but basically, as a home comes in and that tax revenue is reserved to pay the specials on that, the city doesn't then benefit, or is there a margin there where we're still gonna collect some taxes on top of?
Now, it is a good point. I mean, I think you have to get to kind of a but-for place, but for this, are we gonna see those homes? If you think you're gonna see them, then what you're talking about is absolutely true. You're like, well, why wouldn't we just have them pay the remaining specials and we get our general tax? It's just a question of how much incentive is needed there.
So the specials have been going for 11 years and there have been 3 houses built. So this is to provide an incentive to remove those specials, because that's one of the complaints.
But we need nothing from them building the house, so then.
Yes, you will.
Very
You
long.
don't get it initially, but you will get it long term. After the specials are paid off, that it returns to normal.
So after 9 years.
It's eligible costs, which are about $800,000. So once the city
Well-
gets, theoretically, you could shut it off at any time, but that's kind of the maximum you could collect. Is 800,000 over a period of time, not exceeding 25 years.
How much do we owe on this development? How much do we have?
Well,
The-
the 800,000, I did the math, it's in here, is both what you've paid in debt service to date, and then what remains, so it's 800 some thousand, including the infrastructure costs plus the interest that you've had to cover over time and in the future as well.
We're covering that out of the general fund, right? Bond means which levy, tax levy, that was part of the bill. So we're paying either way.
Yeah, either way.
But the truth is, if 19 homes were built in the next 2 years, and they're all paying and you get that increment, this probably lasts less than 10 years, because you get all that, and then that's kind of the long term that was referenced. You'd say, well, we know then in 10 years, we've got all of this development that's occurred, and we're back to where all of those taxes are being paid and spread among the taxing subdivisions. But again, it's any incentive, I think, is sort of a but-for consideration. But for this, are we gonna get the development out there that we want to have?
I mean, right now you're collecting 0.
We'll be collecting 0 until we pay off the debt.
No, we're collecting the debt.
But you get a new house on tax rolls too.
But if we got a new house built there, we'd be collecting additional taxes anyways to pay off the debt. That's what I'm saying. This is just.
But people are not building because.
It's strictly an incentive to get really people, I mean, how long has that
Bill.
been? There's been two houses.
Bill 11, yeah, 11, it's been there 11 years and there's 3 houses built.
Yeah, you look first, it wasn't built.
And the first 2 were built by the.
One house. When was the last one built?
That one was actually just a year and a half or so ago, but. I mean, we offer these lots for free.
Now, it started.
We have a special assessment rebate program.
Specials are done.
And nobody is taking us up on them. And again, one of the biggest complaints is the special assessments.
Yeah, I
Cause
like,
it adds to the mortgage, I mean,
and this may help. So the increment's gonna be generated by school district, county, city taxes, and I don't have it in front of me. Let's say it's a third, and a third. So if it's $5,000, we weren't doing any of this, the city would get, say, $1,700 of that. A sliver of it is for your bond and interest levy, so a little bit of that new $1,700 would actually go into your debt service fund and be used to cover some of those costs. Now, again, they would be paying special assessments, and so it's kind of back to my original point. You take those general taxes, you don't have the $1,700 that I just referenced to use on other things, but you have all 5,000 to cover your debt service on these bonds and to pay for the infrastructure. So that's, again, sort of the incentive to say, well, that's gonna help us pay at the city level. It's not just our mill levy, not just our bond and interest levy that's covering that. It's gonna be all of those taxes. And again, we can use that to cover special assessments and incentivize hopefully new homes being built by saying, you don't have any specials, you just build it and start paying your taxes and we've taken care of the rest. I don't have any additional questions, leave it open to the rest.
Well, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, we gotta do something because we're paying for it anyway. If we can get a new house or two, it's gotta be a benefit.
And so this is just really the first step in the whole, there's multiple layers.
Yes, this is just, we're considering it, we're calling for a hearing, we're gonna give notice. Then we'll have a hearing, the hearing has to be at least 30 days, and not more than 70 days from tonight. I put the date from here, May 14th. Your meeting on May 14th is when that hearing will be. And then that's when you would have to decide, are we gonna do this? And if you do, you do it by ordinance. The county and the school district for 30 days after the hearing could object. If they don't, then you provide all the documentation to the county and they have to start collecting taxes. Similar to your TIF district downtown, they start treating that as a separate taxing subdivision, say, okay, that one, when taxes are paid, we've got to treat that differently, and that all goes, that increment goes to the city.
and this wouldn't be the first RHID in the county. There is an existing one over by the county line. Cedric time.
And has that expanded, they built on that?
That'll pay, it will pay off early. I think there's only like 3 or 4 lots left.
There's like 27 houses there now.
Yeah, and they only did, the developer asked for 12 years and, gosh, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it'll pay off early. And once that pays off, again, then those taxes, revert back.
Yeah, okay.
But there's 4 houses we built there right now.
It was streets. That's what the developer used.
Streets, yeah. Do you have a recommendation?
Approval of the resolution is presented.
So.
Again, it's just really the first step and there'll be plenty of more opportunities, for discussion.
I will second that motion. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Resolution passes 5-0. All right, thank you.
Is that weird publication requirement on this where it has to be at least 1 week and not more than 2 weeks in advance of the hearing, so it's not get reviewed.
Yeah, I got it all highlighted and printed out.
Okay.
Okay, give it to you.
Thank you. All right, on to new business, 8A Spark grant discussion.
Turn it over
Unless
to
you're there.
I brought James Dean here tonight. He's with KPP Energy, the group we belong to. And I brought him here to talk about what KPP does for us and everything else, since maybe some of you guys don't know. And some new programs that they've had started a generator task force and some other things. So I brought him here to talk about that, and then we'll get on to the grant and some other things.
Yeah, so KPP, as you know, is your wholesale energy provider, and we're made up of our members, and Keeman is a member of that. There's 24 members of KPP, and we're set up just like the city. We are a quasi municipality set up under state statutes, just like the city is. So our members are us. We work for our members, so we work for you. And in that, KPP helps provide regulatory functions with SPP, with KCC and all that. Along with that comes providing generation, which we pool your generation as part of our assets to do that. And then we provide transmission. You might remember we built a substation to help serve the city of Kingman so we can get full import limits instead of limited to 6 megawatts, which hopefully has been a good service to the city of Kingman. So we help work with our members to do projects like that. And then when the Spark grant came up, we thought, man, this is a good opportunity for the city of Kingman to look at that, because I know every winter Tim calls me, James, my tile line's going down again because of the ice, and we're gonna generate for a couple of days, so be ready for that bill to come in. So we get ready for that bill, we help Tim along with that. So the Spark grant, it's vast. It came, well, we got notice of it, maybe
Like.
just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Yeah, and the concept paper is due April 6th, I think. Second. April 6th. Yeah, so we met with Jim and Leslie, started talking through what that looked like, and man, it looks like a pretty good opportunity for the city of Kingman. And we're there to help support the application of that, see if we can work along with the city on that. Some things that we do work with, since generation is a big part of our pool, and since capacity is becoming harder and harder to come by, we have reached out to our member communities that have generation. We set up the generation task force to make sure that we're using it wisely. We are offering it into the market smartly, so that it's not a bunch of excess wear and tear on units, and that we're maximizing the use of those units going forward. Because as you know, they are aging fleets. City of Kingman doesn't have the oldest units. There are older ones out there still in operations, but they're not getting younger, so those assets are getting older, harder to work on, harder to operate. So
What else with our task force too? I'm a member of the task force. We meet usually once a month, and I know JD'd kill me, but he always says it's not alone. But like if we have a unit go down, KPP will give us, if it's a $500,000, $500,000 rebuild, they'll give us $250,000. We pay it back, through our capacity credits or whatever, however we set it up to do it, but it's more of, coming to you guys saying, hey, I need $500,000, they're gonna give us $250,000 and we're gonna pay it back however we want to, over years,
it helps keep, because as the question will come, do we fix this unit the next time it breaks down? So it's a way that we can help keep that fleet going, help assist the cities without taking a big hit to your budget whenever those costs come in, because
You can't plan for it, you don't know what happened.
No, it's easier to ask for $250,000 than $500,000 too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Repair, replacement, addition, what are we talking about? It would go to it.
What's the project? The project, that's what.
Oh, the project, okay, so, the project is, it has to be at least $10 million. Right? And it can be for transmission. We can rebuild our transmission line. Or we can add generation for reliability. And there was two other things.
There's some technology improvements, which probably doesn't apply. There's a couple other categories, but I think what we were honing in on was the rebuild of the T line to increase reliability and, it's improved efficiency on the wire.
I'll get my wire real quick.
Yeah, you can show them too.
Yeah, so the existing line is, it's served its purpose. And it's a single wire composite field, but the problem with it is it's smooth and it collects ice real easy. And it starts galloping in the wind, and when it does that, it starts breaking things, it breaks it pretty quick.
So this is the wire that's currently out there, and it's a ACC. See, there's 3 or 4 C's. Aluminum conductor, composite core. So it has a composite core inside of it. What this stuff's designed for really is out in like mountain ranges and stuff to get big, long lengths of spans. This stuff will not break. It's been proven time and time again, it will not break. But it's round, it's compressed, so if it gets ice on it, it just builds up and it makes it an airplane wing. And it lifts. It lifts, so you can pass it around if you want to.
It doesn't break it fold.
That's right. So this is what, we built 5 miles of this for KPP when you guys let us go out and build the line out there, but this was T2, it's 266. And actually, when it gets ice on it, you know, it's ribbed. And when it gets ice on it and it lifts, if it does lift, you know, it'll spread apart, it has flex.
It breaks the ice.
And it breaks the ice off. Now, I'm not saying that it's, you know, the end all of everything. There can still be a problem, you know, but it's way more reliable than.
I mean, does it carry, for distance, does it carry the voltage just as good?
Yes, average. Yeah. Yes, it does. They're the same. They're 32.
Yeah, about 32 megawatts is what you can transmit over this.
You know, I mean, we don't, yeah.
That's about double what your load is.
What would the cost be?
So it's 17 miles and we figure $500,000 a mile for a rebuild. And that would be, more than likely, that would be changing the bowls out, because we would go to a vertical build instead of cross arms. Because that's always what breaks. And I did, since 07, since we've been on this line, I did a little of, from October to April, is usually when we have the weather. I didn't go into the summer months. If we get wind over 60 mile an hour, if it's a straight north or straight south wind, we're out of power. Because the lines out there, they slack. So from December of 2007 until January of 25 was our last outage due to wind or ice. We generated 3,435,498 kilowatts. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but excuse me, and our engines had to run 966 hours during those outages. Sometimes we can go out there and fix it in a day. Sometimes we have to wait till it quits whipping before we can go out and fix it.
Or the road gets cleared.
Or the road gets cleared, yeah. Sometimes we gotta take, it's east-west road, we have to take a loader out there and clear it ourselves.
Call your brother, he just laughs. Good luck.
Is that all run down 20th, all the way, or is it job?
So it comes on, out on 54 to Hoosier Corner, Hoosier Cemetery, it runs past Hoosier Cemetery to 20th, and then it runs all the way to turn on Blacktop, or 170th on. Yeah, so the most part, and it zigzags back and forth across the road.
I drove that the other day with after we talked about it a little bit. There's a lot of them poles and stuff look like they're getting age stuff on that one.
You know, they started on that in 05 with the sub and with all the poles and everything, and then we got on, I believe we got on in October of 2007, if I remember right. And then we had a winter event. And the worst one that I can remember, because I've been out there every time we put it back up. I think we called mutual aid in Wellington and Winfield came in. We had over 60 insulators broke. And I know Ira went over and got a truckload of cross arms. I think we had like 36 or 37 cross arms broke. It's kind of the definition of insanity.
I mean, okay, the cost that electricity costs us versus what we output out of our generation plant,
Right.
is it comparable or?
Much more expensive for you
To
to
generate.
generate, yeah, much more.
Especially when it gets cold out because they like to hike the gas prices up on the state.
When you, during the rebuild, do you leave the one in place and go alongside it and then cut it loose?
I think that's probably what we'll do.
You would have any downtime where you're generating?
Yeah, we would have to probably employ an engineer to kind of figure out how to, the goal would be to reuse the existing right of way that you're in and not, try to reuse the existing right of way. That helps save some costs. But yeah, you would build the line basically a little bit taller and just straight over the top of it, hopefully. And shorten the spans up because the spans are too far right now. Yeah, and then build it stout.
Yes,
Well, do you go back with wood poles or do you go back with metal like some of these?
would. We'd go with those class 1.
Go with a much beefier wood pole.
And that's what's out there right now, class 1 poles. I mean, we haven't had any problems with the poles other than, people light them on fire when they're burning their grass or. I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but. Yeah.
So was it an engineering defect? Was it a new product? We just didn't know? Why were the spans too like?
They flew through it with a helicopter and did, what do you call that? Not a thermal scan,
LiDAR scan.
yes, down through there and everything. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was, but you can go out there and some of the spans are, 275, some of them are 430. Oh, wow.
There shouldn't be a span over 250,
Right.
in my opinion.
So you said this was for the Spark grant,
That's correct.
but you also have on here the Build Kansas grant. What's the difference there?
Okay, so with the Spark grant, it's 50%. We get 50%,
Okay,
or they would give us 50%. And then the Build Kansas, yeah, the Build Kansas is 50-50 match.
Well, the Spark grant is a 50-50 match. Then if you,
Yeah, the Build Kansas will fund up to 95% of your match.
okay,
Now, I mean, this is a large project. I don't know that they would give us 95%. But there probably would be some Build Kansas funds available for this.
so the Spark grant, we would be. In your example, you said 17 miles, about $500,000, so about $8.5 million. So for the Spark grant, we would be responsible for 4.25. And then the Build Kansas would cover part of that?
So there's another part of this grant, which is the generation.
Right?
So I'll let them know.
So we've been talking for years about adding generation, and KVP's actually bought some CAT units. And they're standalone, they're tier 2 cat units. And I found some, a lady found me some the other day. And they are $380,000 dollars delivered. And they're a Cummins engine, they're 7,200, 12,470. I know that doesn't mean anything to you guys, but it's the right voltage and they're 2 megawatt units. So 2 or 3 of those, I mean, would be like putting another number 9 in down to plan. If we got 2 or 3 of those. Now, I got a bid from Cooper. And it took them 2 years to get me a bid, but they're about $2 million a megawatt on putting a new unit in.
They're
So-
self-contained, these units are.
These units are
Diesel or?
they're diesel.
Multi-fuel?
No, straight diesel.
Yeah, they could just bring them and set them and be done,
Right.
just make the connection.
Yeah.
So I think the idea Tim was coming up with on this was to rebuild the tie line, and you're short of that 10 million. Because they're not even gonna look at you if you're over the 10 million. Also throw in the concept paper, some additional generation to help support your fleet that's here, because right now. You have barely enough generation to cover your load. If you happen to grow or something happens to a unit, then now you're covered on a little redundancy there. And also, it's still a 20-mile line over there, something can happen to it, so your backup is your generation, right? So the idea was to put that grant together, and the initial step is to put in this concept paper, and what happens then is the DOE will look at your concept paper, and they will either tell you to, they would strongly encourage you to apply, or they would tell you that, you know, no, this isn't gonna work. Your project's not worthy of the grant. So at least putting in the concept paper, you can kind of see where you're at, what happens, and then after that's when you probably have to employ an engineer, and put together solid budget numbers for the project.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. So we already got to the 8.5 million. And then if we have 3 of these units that are about 380 apiece, we're still shy of 10 million. It's to get them installed, to get breakers,
There's additional costs in that too.
additional, it's about it's a $500,000 a megawatt per unit. And that's purchasing the unit and getting it.
Got it.
So the 2 megawatt units, so be $1 million a unit.
You need to replace what we have a couple, or you can build out more,
Build out more.
you have an empty bay.
That's the other issue. So everybody knows power plants in the floodplain. So putting another unit in there, for this grant would be like pulling teeth. I don't know if we would get it done. So we would have to find a place to put these, and my suggestion would be to take them up north on our hayfield. We're not farmers. And for future expansion up north when the bypass goes around.
Sitting there and then just tie it back into our.
Correct. Tie it back into our grid.
You're talking about that 40 acres that sits up there.
Yes,
So they're self-contained, they don't have to have a building or anything.
they're inside of a building.
They're inside of they're inside of a. So it's a self-contained. Yeah. Build a concrete pad. You'd have 3 things sitting there all together. Yeah.
Put a fence around.
In which, I mean, did you say you have to still set them on a concrete pad or something?
Yes.
And diesel is less efficient than natural gas generally.
More expensive.
So for the multi-fuel generation, be how much more? Why go with diesel?
Just cost, they're cheaper entry costs. Used diesel units are more available, you know, so you can pick up some used one at pretty good prices and then have them refurbished.
And you can also get, I mean, if you got Caterpillar, you could get, the Caterpillar people to come out and service it, the Cummins people to come out and service it, you know.
The Cooper dual fuel unit, they was talking about like engine number 9, it's about 12 million to install that, so that's, you know,
There's a big price difference between the two, but it's a market rate, it's a unit that you can put in the market and possibly get revenue from it too.
Do we have long-term cost maintenance on this? Any projections on how much it would cost if we bought all 3 units and installed them? How much that big raise maintenance?
I'm just saying $6 million, cause that's what the lady told me, delivered, installed.
No,
Maintenance
Oh,
goal.
maintenance, no,
Do we have to hire
extra personnel or?
no,
No,
not extra personnel, but we would have to,
any special equipment tools needed to maintain them?
we would get in there. Probably with Cummins or Cat, whatever we got,
Do we
have them come do the work on.
So they would do the work, and do we know what that contract cost would be? Okay, no, I do not.
So really all tonight, we're looking to submit.
Get a blessing to submit the concept paper to see if it even goes.
For the driveway.
Plus
these units? Yeah, cause we'll have to do that to get us over.
over the
And
two.
it's just a concept paper, whether we get it or not.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the tile iron though. For sure.
I'd like to just be able to generate what we need, just locally when needed.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I'm.
How much do we have in our fund for electric?
For electric,
Yeah,
or was actually fancy reported. We don't have that much. It would be, I mean, there would be debt involved, yeah. I mean, let's see, where am I at here? Yeah, we got right at 2.6 million in light surplus. Certainly, that's not gonna, this would be a bonded. I mean, our share probably at that point.
But right now, we're just
Yeah.
looking to apply.
Yeah, that's,
We gotta put all those numbers together, the finances.
yeah, there's no,
It's nice round numbers right now.
Yeah.
It's,
so it's just,
yeah.
moving forward.
22 million, I think is what we put in the concept paper.
That was using the Cooper.
how'd you get to 22 million?
We use the Cooper bid.
Okay, I was so confused, I was like, we're barely at 10, how'd you jump to 22?
Yeah, so if we would have to buy something new, that's where we got.
Well, worst case scenario.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool, thanks for that. I thought I missed something there.
Have you got any idea what on this winter was kind of abnormal, but those winters when we had those breakdowns, whether it was wind or ice? I mean, what did we spend? I mean, did we?
What did we spend to generate?
Well, no, what did we
4
spend
days?
to make the records, I guess? I mean, I know it's kind of a.
I know, I was thinking about that, I mean, we've got 4 to 5 trucks out there. You know, we have all 3 bucket trucks and, I mean, we take. 4 linemen, me, I have guys helping me drill insulators out as we go along. Cause, I mean, when we start, we don't know how bad it is sometimes. And, if we have to take a loader out there, and spend or,
I mean, what would an average truck and a crew cost? I mean, you're looking at $500 an hour probably, or $400 or $500 by the time you
probably.
sleep it at it.
We've been out there for, I don't know, 13, 15 hours. Trying to put it back up in the air.
Really, guys, just go out and drive 20th once you find that mine and you're not gonna be real impressed with it.
Oh, I'm sure she's been out. I'm sure Ryan took her out there because he's been on it enough with us.
Hey guys, just to see if there's any there and, see if we can find some grant dollars to help support a project out there. We did look at putting wind dampeners and stuff on there, and that was almost $1 million itself. Just installing.
And they couldn't guarantee that they'd work. Here, spend 25,000 a mile. It's like, okay. Won't you give it to me for a mile? I'll let you know.
Well, we have nothing to lose by starting the process, right?
No.
I mean, absolutely.
Hopefully that bill to Kansas will give us quite a bit too, that would be nice.
They came through on a lot. We have a couple other cities that got KCC 40101D grants and that grant came through 100% on those projects. They're not this magnitude, but.
All right.
So
Do you just
probably
need
need
a
a
consensus? Do you
motion
need,
to proceed or consensus to proceed with the process.
Make a motion to proceed or to
Proceed.
Yeah, you see from the process. To move forward with the process. I will second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second to move forward with the Spark grant. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, 8B, insurance renewal.
So Mayor Council, we've got, we have our renewal this year for our property and liability insurance, and, good news is not much of an increase, and from payment insurance is Mike Osner. You want to come up and, there's, and talk a little bit about it, but, you have a summary of that in your packet.
Comes due April 1, the EMC policy last year was, 456,972, and this year it's 455,220, so it's down. Basically, pretty much the same. I mean, we've got the same deductibles. We've upgraded quite a few vehicles this past year. But other than that, we're pretty much the same. Liability went down quite a bit. Properties went up 2-3%. So it's not a lot of change really. So, yeah.
This is better than the last time you were here. I like that.
Yeah, I don't usually get to stay the same.
Right.
Same or down, so, yeah. So last year we got we took one of the engines out, and we got the commercial output reduced by about, well, you can see that there at the bottom, from 60 million down to 53 million. So, but that was endorsed last year, so.
So we just need a motion to, I would make a motion to forward the cyber security.
No, it's not
The insurance.
No, not that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's our insurance renewal, property liability insurance renewal. We'll keep looking at it, yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the insurance renewal. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Now on to our,
thank you.
thank you. Now on to our cybersecurity insurance renewal.
Yeah, Mayor, Commission, you've got a renewal quote from Travelers for the city's cyber liability coverage. This was a program that the city entered into last year through the League of Municipalities. They introduced this option for cities in the spring. That'll be the second year the city's been in this program, and the quote this year is $13,821, which is a slight increase over last year's $12,558. And we would recommend approval of the 26 cyber policy as presented with Travelers.
Therefore, I move for you.
What all does this cover? In the policy, I'm just curious.
Well, did I have that in there?
It's listed.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so extortion.
Page 58.
Yeah, page 58, right. I mean, it's basically when somebody sneaks into your system and can cause a lot of disruption. And I've experienced that in a small city that I was an intern in, and we had a threat, and it was nice having insurance coverage with the expertise, not only on the IT side, but on the leader side as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a relatively small amount to pay for that, and it's really become a pretty big thing in the last, 10 years, maybe not even that, so.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the cybersecurity insurance renewal. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to 8E, KDOT cost share grant agreement.
Okay, Mayor Council, we actually have two agreements. We'll talk about the first one. This first one is with, between the city and KDOT for the traffic signal project at Highway 54 and Main Street. I know you guys are aware, this is really just a formal agreement between the city and KDOT. And specifically on this project, KDOT funds 80% of it, 20% match for the city. That's on construction and construction engineering inspection. And then our local share is about $230,000, and that's for engineering design. So we had to pay for design. We also had to pay for geotech, which was a small piece of that. So, so that's the first agreement. And this project's been, I think, in the maintenance for a couple of years now. We had a final field check plan in January, my first month here. So, and the money for this, the cities had set aside, our total share. Some of it's in the capital improvement fund, and I believe Greg told me, if he can correct me, that some of this is some ARPA money that the city received and set aside some of that for an excavator and then for this project. So
This was the big ARPA project, the city established.
yeah. And it's set to let, I think in maybe July. Maybe in August, I can't remember which date that was yet, so. But this is just formalizing the agreement. I would have thought we would have had the agreement with KDOT sometime ago, but we're well into it, so.
So this one had nothing to do with the right of way that you had.
No, that'll be the next thing we're talking about, yeah.
Right. I'd make a motion to approve the KDOT cost share grant agreement at 54 and main traffic light.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the KDOT cost share grant agreement for the 54 and Main traffic light. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to the KDOT C-CLIP.
Okay, this is the project that is pavement restoration, curb and gutter, storm sewer on 54. 100 foot east of Douglas to Broadway. So it's really an extension. Our first project is really from Maine to already under contract, is from Maine to Lincoln. And then this project will be the next several blocks from there. So the contract for Maine to Lincoln, Main Street, West Lincoln, is already under contract, and it'll be letting in July. That's the one that'll be letting in July of this year, so. And the cost share on these was 95.5, so a much better deal for the city. And we've been setting aside, I think the city, Greg's done a nice job of setting aside money in the, from our highway, special highway fund, moving that into the street improvement fund, $50,000 a year for the last several years to meet our match for these projects, so. And I think ultimately the goal is, as part of the bypass project, to get all that roadway all the way to the city limits to be improved in a current state of condition before it's turned back over to the city. Because once the bypass would come in, these highway miles then become our responsibility for Maine West.
How often are these done? Cause if the bypass doesn't happen, say for another in 15 years.
They let them, they put out advertisements, I think annual.
Yeah, every year there's an option, yeah, and a lot of it just, and that's why I think I asked Greg, maybe somebody, why only 2 blocks or 3 blocks, and it's all about funding and how much KDOT has, and so you get 3 blocks now and 3 blocks later, and eventually you get there, you know, yeah.
These things been around forever. It used to be a clean project is what it used to be.
Yeah, they call it Clip now, it's clean, yeah, connect, yeah. And this was a project that, we had to get the, is this the one? Yeah, the right.
That's in July, you had to go.
Yeah, we got all the temporary easements on that worked out, so, and there were just not much to them. I mean, in terms of the property owners were all very good about it, and understood that it's not gonna really affect them much, and most of it's due to the fact that they're putting in new sidewalks, and so they need to maybe be on private property while those sidewalks are being constructed, so.
Yeah, cause it's not just a resurfacing, they're
No.
actually reconstructing and there's
Street, curb gutter, you
flood
got,
mitigation there, drainage.
you got a storm sewer situation on the north side there.
So I'd make a motion to approve the KDOT Clip Program 2026 project. Item F.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the KDOT C-SLIP 2026 project or approve it. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Alright, on to old business, 9A, the tank project.
Yeah, so update from, it actually happened prior to our last meeting. I met with both the VFW and the American Legion to discuss what the situation currently is and recommendations for repainting the tank. So I did paint, or, so I did, resource, or actually, Mr. Wing here actually gave us a good resource to look for paint costs. And, that's reasonable. I reached out to a tank that was recently refurbished in 2025 up in Chase County. It was performed by a contractor. He was able to keep the costs under $1,500 to fully repaint the tank. Ours is a smaller tank, so it should be similar. I also reached out to a local contractor to see what cost estimates he thought, and he was ballparking it in around the same range. This isn't gonna cost the city any money. We have donors that are stepping up to move in, both from the American Legion, from the VFW, and a few private donors that said that they would commit their funds to it. So really, we just need a approval to move forward. There are considerations that were brought up earlier tonight about the holes in the top of the tank and water infiltration. I do think that warrants a little further investigation. Of course, my concern is if there's water in the tank, we probably need to take care of that before we seal it up. Otherwise, it's just gonna be compounding the issue if it doesn't ventilate. So, we'll need to work with the city on that, get it opened up and see what we're really looking at there. But, we really are at a stage where we have volunteers that are gonna contribute. This is a professional job, it'll be done by a professional contractor, so there shouldn't be anything there. The volunteer work that has been considered with the students and other youth organizations would be to help mask and prepare the site for painting. So it's not something that would affect the longevity of the paint or put the kids in any harm or risk the overall quality of the product. So we just need a motion to proceed with the project being completed professionally by either local or outside contractors. Again, I think I've already secured a local contractor that will donate his time and materials. And we have the funding with it. It is city property, so I want to put it before this council.
So just to be completely transparent here, this is not to restore the tank, this isn't to do any of that, but just strictly to get it repainted.
This is just to repaint the tank.
Correct. Is there any sort of, Greg, this might be a question for you, any sort of contract that needs to be with whoever is doing it? Like how they're gonna do it? We need any of that?
If we know what we're going to do, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Just to make sure that we have all their i's dotted, t's crossed and.
I think the process is pretty simple. They're going to sandblast the tank, rough up the surface so that we get proper adhesion with the chemical, or we're gonna prime it and then paint it. All that could be written out, of course, for details, but.
And it doesn't, may not even need to be a full contract, but at least.
Provide
scope of work,
details
you
of
know,
work.
something, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, that can be done. I was also unaware on these tanks until I started really diving deep into it, but there are up to 7 stars that are painted on those tanks. We have 2 currently, but there are 7 stars that come out the factory line. And as far as matching the paint quality and color for the period, that's easily attainable as well.
Well, you're excellent, but appreciate you going out there and checking on that. He's right, most of these tanks rolled off the assembly line with a myriad of stars. What happened to them when they got in theater was dependent on the crews. Those stars make a hell of a bullseye for enemy gunners. So they would either repaint over the stars, they'd smear mud on them, or any myriad of things. As a matter of fact, I've got pictures of tanks that were painted camouflage, black and green. Majority of them are Adobe green. And most of them that I've seen in pictures overseas have had the stars removed. So it's up to you on how you want to go ahead and finish it up. As far as the interior of the tank goes, Greg mentioned that I've been inside the tank. And there are numerous avenues for moisture to get inside of it. Currently, there's not water sitting inside of it. When the sun's out, it's an oven. I'm not quite sure how some of that's going to be sealed up. For instance, the ballistic shield on the main gun to do what, replace what's in there require removal of the main gun, and that's not something you all want to go into. And I'm sit around at night thinking about how to engineer stuff that would be in the best interest of preserving it and keeping stuff out and not be an eyesore. So there's that. Media blasting. I talked with Robert Elder with the Kansas State Historical Society. What he recommends, not to sandblast, but use something softer, like it's a media blast using like walnut shells. And whoever does that would be able to tell you, this is what they're probably going to use and want to use. To softly massage that and take the gloss off of that in a surface crust. So eventually it might be kind of cool down the road to be able to have that, so you could at least look into it and see how incredibly small the area is inside that tank. I'm not a big person, and I tell you what, it's tiny in there. I can't imagine having much ammunition in there, plus all the equipment that we do. So that's all I have. If you have any questions from me.
The local guy that I talked to here about blasting had mentioned using corn cobs or walnuts or something, because they didn't want to use too abrasive on
Right.
on that. So, I mean, that has been mentioned, so.
what's left of the seals around the hatches from the commander's cupola, the driver's hatch, the gunner's cupola. The seals are all but gone, and if you use something very abrasive, you just erode the rest of those seals. And then you propagate some more water inside the thing, if we have precipitation, so.
You have a question or a comment?
I do for the tank. So I used to work at CSNS, it's a combined sport meat shop in Topeka. If you've ever been to the National Guard Museum that's out there in Topeka, you'll see all the static displays are outside the military equipment. I helped set some of those up in there. We sandblasted those, repainted them, drove them out there, and put them on the concrete platforms. Referring to the stars, we would do the history on the vehicle. Because he's right, they did come out with stars on it and they got subdued or anything out when they went to theater. Well, how we decided to paint them back is if the vehicle did go into combat, if it was traced that went to combat, we left the stars off of it. If it was a garrison vehicle which stayed stateside, we put the stars back on.
That's one thing I haven't gotten clear down into the driver's compartment. That's most likely where the data plate is for that particular tank. And if I could get the serial number tank, and maybe have somebody in military history trace that back, we could definitely find out if that tank ever moved overseas. And if so, where in it?
That'd be cool. There is a plate number on the front of the vehicle.
Right, yeah, it just shows it was refurbished to Devo in 1950.
Right, it had a serial number on it. I did look at that serial number. Unfortunately, it matches the tank that's in Europe right now. I also traced the RN number from it and it looks like it's a tank that's in Australia. So I'm not sure.
Good worldly.
Yeah.
What I would tell you, after World War II, when Company L came back and redeployed back into Kingman, shortly thereafter, they became the tank company of the 137th Infantry Regiment. So if in fact that was a tank that they had, it might be kind of cool to put their bumper number on it. Because every tank has got that.
There is a number painted on the back of it now. What is that?
Right, I'm not sure what that is. Greg and I have talked about that. And I don't know whether that is a tag that Depot put on it or whether tactical command that they're responsible for leasing military equipment out to the public for displays and so on and so forth. I don't know if that's a number for them. I've been trying to chase it down and I haven't got an answer yet. So I'm still looking at that. Who knows? It might actually be the My God serial number. I won't read that until I dive back into that little son of a gun and try and find that data plate. Hopefully it's still in there.
Yeah, we might try to be able to find some information on that number. It's on the backside. Sergeant James said that that was the number that was issued by the state, that if I remember what he said correctly.
What would it take to get into that tank?
He's got the key.
You're able to get into it, you're able to access that today, or I mean, tomorrow, essentially.
Yeah.
And you could get into it anytime.
I was in it about 2-3 weeks ago, so.
Okay.
But that number should be, if I understood Sergeant Jenny correctly, that's a state number, like it was issued statewide for that number, to keep her track.
Your dad might have to go to the historical society. And the person I talked to at the historical society is Robert Elder. Really source information, so. That's all I have for you folks, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, I appreciate the history and knowing.
You would absolutely fall over in the chair if you could see what's in my basement. So.
Thank you.
So what are we looking for? Just a consensus to
Proceed.
I think we really, I mean, we could do that, but I think it would be nice to see from whatever contractor is gonna do the work, to see what he is actually gonna do. You know, not a contract, but just tell us, you know, what he's, how he's gonna do it, what he's gonna pay, and all that.
Okay, so a consensus to get the contractor statement of work. Present that to the city commission the next meeting, and then we'll vote on approving it. We're running out of time if we're going to involve some of the kids, so.
I mean, I have no problem making a motion to proceed with doing this tank, but I think we need to do it. Kind of see what we're gonna get, or how he's gonna proceed with it. I mean, I would like to see it.
All right. Sound good? Perfect. All right. 9B, Rocky Dam.
I'm requesting that this stay on the old business as, of course, work needs to be commenced, and I'm told that we do have some updates.
I do that. Not much, it will take about a second. I've talked to Charles Loman, he's with Wilson and Company, he was a city or engineer with them that worked on the project down here, with the flood and all that, pretty knowledgeable on all this. And he's gonna be able to come here either on the 9th of April or 23rd, those are 2 meetings, to just talk you through the permitting and all the steps that would have to go through, to do anything there. And, I hope he got back with me today, but that's all I know, but it would be either April 9th or 23rd. And he would be in a meeting here just to kind of talk with you all about what steps you would go through and permitting process if there is one, and some of that. So I think it'd be helpful to get that started before we do anything else. And I mean, I can make a lot.
Are you talking about the flow rate, or are you talking about the banks, or for all of it?
All of it, yeah, bring it all into discussion.
This is really about the flow rate, because
Yeah, that's where we're gonna start.
Yeah. So that's my update.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, 10A, executive session. Somebody have the paper?
No. I forgot to make it. Would you know that by now? No, so did.
Hold
I
on,
got it.
he's got it on his computer.
I forgot. Yeah. We usually have them.
And bring it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I move the city commission recess into executive session with the city manager and the city attorney to discuss matters related to the employment position of the city pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception in KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting in the city will resume in the city commission chambers in
15.
15 minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are going to executive session.
Stop
We gotta do something with this.
Yeah, honey,
He showed that. It's not on me anymore, so that's great.
I speak.
So 15 minutes. Okay, we can take.
All right, coming back from executive session with no action taken.
I move the city commission recess in executive session with the city manager and the city attorney to discuss matters related to an employment position of the city pursuant to non-elected personnel exception in KSA 75-4319B1. The open meeting will resume in the city commission chambers in 15 minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, coming back from executive session with no action taken.
Want to introduce
Somebody in the commission is going to need to make a motion to offer a contract to your candidate for city manager. And to approve the contract subject to his approval.
Need to make a motion.
Make a motion to offer the proposed contract on behalf of the city to your candidate.
I would make that motion.
And the candidate is
His name.
Daniel
Good
Canal.
Daniel Purnell.
L
I'll get you.
No, it's KNO.
N-O-E-L-L.
Yeah, we can get you the
Yes.
spelling. All right, we have a motion to offer the contract to our candidate, Daniel Noel. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to offer the city manager contract. Do we have any discussion?
I'll just say that the current contract and its condition. I do feel that there is risk to the city of Kingman. And extended discussion is forward. Leave it at that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. All right. City manager report.
I have nothing for that.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing's been going on, all right. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Wallen.
Commissioner Wool's in a bad mood since Nebraska lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's Tim here. Tim, thank you. I had a complaint of a constituent about a yard and just some work that had been done. And I appreciate Tim reaching out to him and just talking through that and just treating our people who live in this community as customers is important. And I just appreciated the extra effort on his part. So thank you. I had somebody stop me at the grocery store saying it's a senior who's retired. I can give you a name if you're bored, but he expressed hope for a disc golf course. I didn't give him a lot of hope. I wanted to say thank you to our employees during this time of transition. I appreciate John being in his position and maturity he's brought in that realm, but thank you to our employees and just you get to deal with a learning curve and just change, and I appreciate. Adding to the agenda without public notice, and having it on next meetings would be preferable to doing changes to our agenda if we can avoid it. Unless their time is of the essence, but I would really like us to have an agenda in advance rather than making amendments to the agenda when we have a meeting. And finally, regarding four-way stops, as you all know, I am not in favor of those. And in fact, I was happy that we killed off the Pine Street stop at Washington. And I proudly made that motion, I bet, to take out 2 of those stop signs. I don't mind the idea of speed bumps. I just went from Phoenix to Sedona this weekend and went through a bunch of traffic circles. Not a big fan of those either. But I get when people, and anecdotally, I drive G a lot. I really don't see the raceway that we cite specific vehicles. I think law enforcement's part of this. I think speed bumps may be an assist that may be a good idea. I would like our attorney to address the dialogue when we have public comment. And there's times when we're asked our opinions and asked to engage in public comment. What is your opinion on that, city attorney?
Public comments for comments. Comments, it's not for debate or back and forth, it's what's supposed to be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Arthur? Nothing? All right.
Thank you.
Rick Farland?
I had a question, and I think we got very on here now, but we're selling some fire engines, but we sold some ambulances a while back. I don't know if we talked about that in a meeting I missed, but anyone know how much we got for those? The black ambulances?
No, I don't recall. It seemed like it was around like $3,000 or something.
Yeah,
That's what I was wondering.
And one of them is actually being used as an ambulance in California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, they called for some information. on it.
I-
We're having problems. with it.
I figured some Harley rider buying their hauler motorcycles in tournaments, so the hauler motorcycles in. Then I just had, about this, thing on ECG, the comment was made that the Pizza Hut drivers who drive by there, some of the Pizza Hut drivers, I think it would be fine, I think it'd be fine for an officer to talk to the Pizza Hut people and tell them their drivers are going down there too fast and then tell them to not do that, so that would be at least part of the problem be fixed, I think, but, I'd like to see us get something figured out on that place, I hope we get the speed trap thing, so we can figure out what, get a better idea of what's going on there. Yeah. And that's all I have.
Vice Mayor Coughlin?
I am excited about the opportunity to bring in a new city manager. I'm glad that's moving along. I think that you have a good candidate. I look forward to working with him in the future. That had no impact. His judge of character, I think he's probably a stand-up guy, had no impact on my vote this evening to vote no. But again, I'm just excited to have the opportunity to work.
All right, I only have one thing, and that might be for Tim or Chief Brooks, I don't know. I've had several people question about our tree limb pile. And if it is shut down, why it's shut down. I mean, we've been talking about this for 3 or 4 years about we need to find something permanent. Because we want people to dispose of their limbs, but then we have nowhere for them to do it. So.
So I actually, cause I saw on Facebook too that it was closed down. And so I reached out to one of the guys and he said that somebody had dumped in a bunch of lumber with nails and stuff in it and trash. And so, I mean, that's why it got closed.
But that happens every time.
We picked it up the first day and then the second, it was a couple days later, they had done it again. And the second time, there was like bridge timbers in there.
Yeah.
I would
So,
love to find
I
a
mean,
more permanent solution. I don't know if it's locking it up and checking out a key, I don't know.
Because it is a privilege.
It is.
To have that, not a right.
Yes.
And we can't ban it.
I know, oh, no, I agree, I don't wanna spend taxpayer dollars to somebody to sit there and man it.
And everybody says put a camera down there. You buy a camera.
We can do that.
It's still,
Could we put gate access down there though? I mean, could we not?
I mean, we have the arm already when the firing range is in use.
Okay,
It's what?
that's probably.
I'm talking about it, to close it off.
Yeah, swing gate, we could have them, like you said, like the firing range, go down there, get a key, drop off their stuff, return the key. It's cheap option, and then you know who's doing it, right?
Yeah.
who has the key then?
The city office.
So,
So you're just like me, I do it at night or weekends. Because I work regularly, yeah.
You know where to find the key.
I know where to find it. But I'm also like to have a life.
Well, we'll explore some ideas there maybe, but it does get frustrating, I
It
think.
does. Yeah,
It's a really nice thing the city does for people, and people take advantage of it, so.
Yeah, that's also inspected by KDH&E, so they go down there and if you see any kind of trash, I mean, we're done.
But that's never gonna stop,
No.
because we've been, this trace funding in this way, we've had that problem since.
We do have a landfill, most people.
We do.
They don't take trash.
Yeah, they do.
They will
They
take
They
land,
don't take, well, they take limbs, but they don't take trash.
well, we don't take trash.
They don't take.
Yeah,
They take
the
less.
trash, we want.
So anything that we allow at our dump would go to that dump. Right.
We have a glorious week every spring in April.
And I was just gonna talk
That's coming
about
up.
that.
Put it
that
on
our
the calendar
spring
and
cleanup
celebrate, yes.
is coming up at the end of April every year, so that will be open, I guess, for that time, and it will be daily. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I have nothing else.
Also.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, aye, sorry, all those opposed, same sign.
Gotta keep it.
Motion passes 5-0.
Did you that?
Anywhere.
Yeah,